Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I'm Sid Part 2. Joining me today is...
Steve Baxi.
Indeed. Steve has chosen a discussion topic for us tonight. Steve, what are we talking about tonight?
Alright, so today we are talking about video games, but more specifically we're talking about superhero video games. I did specify superhero and not comic book, not because there aren't other comic book based video games that we're talking about, like the Telltale, Walking Dead, and all that. I just don't give a shit about those games. So when I say superhero, I mean stuff that's based in superheroes, or something like Prototype or Infamous that kind of operates on the same sort of logic.
Yeah, I mean, those are like superhero games, just not with an established character.
Yeah, and people have talked about in the past how something like Infamous would be a good model for a Superman game and stuff like that. So, I thought those are more worth talking about than Telltale Walking Dead, just because I don't give a shit about Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know. I think superheroes, fit the medium of video game quite well. Just because you have things like the huge rogues gallery that a lot of these characters are associated with. You've got, kind of built-in excuses for gameplay elements that we've seen various superhero games take advantage of. The Spider-Man 2, city missions and, little side quests to help people were, really, really popular at the time, and I think a lot of these games have just kind of followed in that game's footsteps and adapted. So Spider-Man helping a guy that's about to fall off a building, yada yada, as just a little quick side mission, worked quite well. So I think they adapt pretty well into games. It's just a matter of making a good game, instead of hey, let's do a Superman game. What are we gonna have to do? I don't know, fly through rings, I guess. Because when I think Superman, I think flying through rings.
Yeah, I think, interestingly, outside of just comic books in general, superheroes are almost better equipped for something like video games than they are something like movies, because I feel like you have more room to play with the elements that are inherent to a comic book that you can't replicate fully in a movie. Things like disjointed experiences in time and multiple layered story arcs that don't all necessarily have to build to one big catharsis at the end, but kind of have their own beginning, middles, and ends and stuff. The Spider-Man games, the Raimi era Spider-Man games, are a good call because those don't get enough credit for really kind of laying the blueprint for a lot of what we do later. But the big one, the granddaddy of them that I'm sure we probably want to talk about, and then the sidestep for later stuff, is Arkham Asylum. I think, when did that game come out? That game came out in 2009.
Yep.
Yeah, so that game's been out for 15 years.
Stop. No, it hasn't. Don't fucking lie to me like that. That game came out last week. What are you talking about?
So that game came out 15 years ago.
Fuck
I
you,
remember
Steve.
the launch. I remember the trailer when it got announced, and it was the coolest thing ever. And then every cascading detail we got about it, and I did a replay of that whole game just a year or two ago, and that thing still holds up. That game is still I think for me it's still my favorite of the whole series. It's such a fun game. It's so well made. It's got so many little pockets of Batman stuff that you can do in a night. in a way that doesn't overextend its own capabilities in the way I think Arkham City sometimes does and Arkham Knight sometimes does. And it's got the best aesthetic for the whole thing, because as the games go on, they start to get a little bit more mechanical. They get a little bit more like realistic in the visuals and stuff. And I feel like Arkham Asylum just kind of struck that perfect balance of it's gritty and it's dark, but everyone still kind of looks cartoony. Batman's suit is the best in that game. The Batmobile, I think, looks the best in that game. There's just so many things about it that sort of feel like if we're only going to get the chance to do one Batman game, this is how we would do it. And that's part of why I appreciate it. But the reason it's such a benchmark, too, is it wasn't only influential for more Batman games, but it just kind of sort of became the blueprint for everything we would do after this when it came to like third-person AAA action games, where we just had Arkham clone after Arkham clone, which included a very underrated Captain America.
Yep, knew you were going to go there.
Yeah, that was just an Arkham clone.
I remember the Captain America Arkham clone.
I liked that game. I thought it was fun.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. Like, it really did kind of lay the groundwork for a lot of this stuff, and we've gotten, other things that came out. I know you don't like this character at all, but it is worth mentioning that the Deadpool game kind of is partly responsible for why we got the Deadpool movie eventually.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I think even Ryan Reynolds was saying, if you want the movie, go make sure the game's successful, and that provided a good opportunity to just get kind of a lot of Deadpool isms on like into one compact experience, because you had like the competing narrators, you had with the little text boxes. You had the constantly breaking the fourth wall. There's a point at which he's like dissecting the fucking script of the cutscene and shit, and just having a lot of fun with different like gameplay elements too, which was really, really cool for the character, because they didn't just do the comic book stuff. They actually took advantage of the medium. I remember, I think my favorite bit of that game was when the X-Men come to pick him up in the fucking jet, and like the cutscene has him just trying to take over controls and end up crashing on Mr. Sinister's island, and he like fucking pulls Wolverine out of the crash of the X-jet, and then you just get to like beat the shit out of Wolverine's unconscious body for like as long as you want. You could just keep doing it like for the rest of the day. He's just gonna keep saying the same 3 fucking lines over and over again. And just beating the shit out of him, which is just a really fun, like, gameplay specific element. You couldn't really do that anywhere else. But it just, like, fit Deadpool really well, because obviously he knew what he was doing. He knew there was no point at which Wolverine was ever going to wake up. He just slapped the shit out of him. That was just so funny to me. And, like, they do that a couple more times. You get to, like, just keep, like, tormenting the body of a Mr. Sinister clone at one point in the game too. It's just they took a lot of good advantage of Deadpool isms in that game that I quite enjoyed.
Part of what's nice about that game, because I played it a little bit but I never beat it, but part of what's nice about that game, as well as a lot of the other like early days superhero video games, is unlike the movies, there is a reason for and usually a decent amount of success with comic book writers writing the story for the games.
Mm-hmm.
So that game was actually written by Daniel Way, who I don't think was writing Deadpool by that point, but was a Deadpool writer. Paul Dini obviously did the Arkham games up to a point. Matt Fraction wrote the Iron Man video game that came out. Iron Man 2 video game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you remember Grant Morrison wrote fucking Alien Concrete City, so there's
Predator, Concrete Jungle.
Predator.
Thank
Predator,
you.
Concrete Jungle.
Jesus, Steve. Out of all the awful things you've said that have gotten you cyberbullied, that one you deserve to be cyberbullied for.
That one, yeah. That one, that was like the most bad version of Sid possible. Oh my god, that's funny. But yeah, I mean, there's that. Christos Gage is the guy who wrote the Captain America video game, who didn't as far as I know, has not written Cap before, but is a comic book writer that's worked both Marvel and DC. So like that's kind of neat because you do get like this consistency between reading the books and playing the games, and it does kind of appeal to that sort of like general idea of like, look, we might
General
not
idea.
necessarily have a unique like all be all end all take, but we do kind of have like a surface level idea of what the character is as an excuse to do cool gameplay things. And I think that's probably the reason that they work better in video games than they sometimes do in movies, because with movies you do kind of have that desire and that need to reinvent as much of it as possible for yourself and your sensibilities, and to turn it into something that's going to connect with audiences that requires you to put a part of yourself into it that's different from a video game. So like if you're going to make a Batman movie, it's hard not to be like, look, I'm only going to get a chance to make a Batman movie once, and if it fails, I'm gone. So it's got to be my Batman movie. And varying degrees of success for how people articulate that. But with video games, because it's such a collaborative effort, because there are so many things outside of the story that are part of the experience, like the gameplay, it gives you more wiggle room for that kind of stuff. I don't understand the people that say Arkham Batman is their definitive Batman, because Arkham Batman's kind of boring. But the Arkham games are definitely a definitive Batman experience, because if nothing else, all of the games are a very fun Batman simulator.
I think what people are like getting at when they say that is they really like how OP Arkham Batman is. Alfie has kind of gone on a bit of a bender on this recently, talking about the Arkham Batman games a lot, where it's like arguably it is the most powerful version of Batman and in any other medium besides like Grant Morrison comics. Because like when you just like look at it, he multiple times he goes through his entire rogues gallery in one night. Like in all three games he does that. All three games take place in one night, and he just bulldozes through his entire rogues gallery every time. And that's kind of nuts when you compare that to like any other version of Batman, especially when we talk like movies or TV show adaptations. That's just insane. So I think people just really like how powerful you get to feel as Batman in that version. And you know, with the kind of rule of video games, where the characters don't have to be, or at least the main character doesn't have to be as narratively strong as something like a film or comic or novel protagonist, because you put more of yourself into the character by the action of driving them. So you don't need them to be as strong on the paper. You're feeling those emotions. So I think that might be kind of why you're getting some people, like you're kind of getting a mix of the power fantasy and also just the personal investment side of things. So I certainly would agree with you. I wouldn't call the Arkham Batman like a definitive or like an all-time Batman take, but I can kind of see, I would say I think there is a reasonable argument for why someone might feel that way.
Well, I think people too would also connect it to having so many holdovers from the animated series and the Arkham games sort of feeling like an epilogue to that kind of stuff, which I've got my own problems with because I don't really like Batman the animated series all that much. But we could talk about that at some other point. But no, you're right, and I think when you play the Arkham games and you play the first one in particular with the limited number of cutscenes, a majority of the dialogue you hear Batman give is just like expositional gameplay stuff, right? Like he's just giving you hints about how to move through the story, but he's not like talking much. If you want to hear dialogue, you're going to go through like the Arkham tapes, or you're going to hear like goons talking in the background, or Joker talking through the loudspeaker and stuff like that. And that sort of lets you just be in the zone of, I'm just going to be Batman. I'm just going to run through Arkham. I'm just going to beat up criminals and crooks and stuff like that. Because Batman doesn't kill, but just maims you horribly, it is presumably possible to knock out a guy on one side of the island and for him to wake up and move to a different side of the island where you knock him out again. So it's got an inbuilt excuse for why you're fighting so many goons and why some of them might look similar, because you might just be the same guy. The reason the Arkham Asylum in particular, I think, stands out as opposed to the other two, because I like City and I like Night. I have issues with them, but I enjoy them. But I still think Asylum's the best, and I think the reason Asylum is the best is because I think it's the best execution of the story and the gameplay are co-constitutive. They are not separate things. Mm-hmm. The movie cut of Arkham Asylum has just as much gameplay footage as it does cutscenes, in a way that I think Arkham City doesn't work, and in a way I think Arkham Knight tried to do and doesn't quite work. With Arkham Asylum, you don't really get much of a learning curve. You don't really get the same sort of level of like challenge maps and stuff that the other games would bring in to kind of teach you how the free flow combat works. It never really has this opportunity to say, okay, this is how the game is played, and this is how the game is played well. You kind of are just like thrown into it and hit the ground running. It's a little bit like old school, not even really old school, but slightly older like action adventure games like God of War before it, where you have a very set of controls that the game tells you how to use, but it's not concerned with how optimal you were using them. It's just concerned with, did we teach you how to use this? Okay, cool. Now you just have to figure out when they are applicable and when they are not. So, like, from the very beginning of Arkham Asylum, there are already spots in the asylum that you can see, like, a waypoint to, but you don't have access to because you don't have the gadget for it yet. And so the way you can just kind of, like, run yourself in circles and play that game on any level of, like, I'm going to take 16 hours to do this whole thing, or I'm going to take 2 hours to do this whole thing. The fact that you can beat the entire game actually in a night to replicate the experience of him being stuck there through the night, I think is kind of invaluable to what makes it work so well, because it really feels like it's a game that's designed for the experience of, what if a video game allowed you to feel like Batman, and every level of it is kind of executing that premise. And as the games go on, I think they're trying too hard to fill out this version of the character independently of the gameplay, and that leads to some really weird dissonant moments later down the line. But Asylum on its own, I feel like, is kind of a perfect package, and I wish more of the games that followed it, that copycatted it, would understand that the idea of Arkham Asylum wasn't just the free flow combat's really good or the open world's really good. It's that the creation of these two things were specifically good for Batman. And Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, the new versions of those games, they have those Arkham growing pains in them. And I feel like they're kind of limiting, because when those games are good, they're doing something very different than the Arkham games. And when those games are bad, they just feel like bad Arkham games.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've not played those, so I can't really comment on it. It's funny, I think we were off air when we were talking about this last time, but it's like Steve got Twitter famous for his initial response to the fact that there was going to be a PS5 exclusive Spider-Man game, or no, PS4 at the time, exclusive Spider-Man game, with a tweet. It was like, Xbox users, when they find out that Spider-Man is going to be exclusive to the PS4, you chose the wrong side, Civil War. So fucking funny. Someone actually made like a whole news article and used Steve's tweet as like the summation of how fans were reacting.
You forgot making that tweet until you reminded me to.
It was so fun. Like, top 10. You should have... Like, I don't understand why you didn't quit Twitter then. Why you quit Twitter now versus then. Like, clearly you went out at the wrong time.
I mean, that's fair.
But,
I should have gone out back when it was still called Twitter.
Yeah. No, that would have been good. But yeah, like, that's really funny, though. But I've not played those. I mean, I'm just to, like, put this into perspective, especially with me talking about, like, no, Arkham Asylum came out like last year. I still have a PS3. That's the highest system I had for a long time. I've got a Switch, but I don't play shit on it ever. I don't know why I buy video games anymore, because what I end up doing is playing it for like 5 minutes and then setting it down forever. Um, but I've just moved on. That's just not the person I was back when I was playing the Arkham games. Like I remember going to GameStop at like the midnight release for Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, and that's just not me anymore. I'm just not into gaming the same way. So it's kind of hard to talk about because you're talking about like Arkham Asylum as the like grandfather of a lot of these superhero games, and I can't really disagree with you because there's just been a plethora of them since Arkham Asylum. But when I think of superhero games, I'm still thinking of like Hulk Ultimate Destruction and shit, you know? Like I'm like way back there and thinking about how cool that was. Like that is still a top 10 like experience for video gaming with superheroes to me, because just
Oh yeah.
nothing felt as cool as just being the Hulk. And like whenever people talk about like, oh, you can't do a Superman game because he's just too powerful, I'm like, nah man, every time you do this and you just get like this fucking junky wish fulfillment thing, it's just off the chain. Like ultimately superhero games I think are superheroes I think are super well suited for video games because there is an element of power fantasy and getting to live some of those like maybe a little dark and twisted desires. I remember growing up playing like GTA when we were entirely too young, me and my friend Andrew, and we're just posted up on a building with a fucking sniper rifle headshotting civilians, right? And Andrew's dad just walks through and watches us do it, just fucking kill this random person. And he's like, that's terrible. But like, because it's just harmless and there's like literally nothing wrong with it, and like no one looks to that experience of video games as any kind of true indication of like deep-seated sociopathy anymore. Like obviously Hillary Clinton in the late 90s early 2000s did, but like nowadays it's like, nah, you just open GTA to fuck around and like murder prostitutes, and that's just the outlet for what we do with those emotions. I just think that like superhero games lend themselves well to that certain like, I just don't care, I just want to kind of let loose and have fun doing these absurd things. And so like Hulk Ultimate Destruction is just really fucking good for that.
Hulk Ultimate Destruction is still super underrated. That game is so fucking fun. I remember that when that game came out and you could go to like your Walmart or Target's video game aisle and they would have like TVs and game controllers to play a demo, and there would always be like a fucking line for the Hulk game because everyone wanted to play the fucking Hulk game and just smash shit. That was so much fun back in the day. But to your point though about the wish fulfillment element, I'll see your Hulk Ultimate Destruction and raise you another Marvel game that came out at the same time as Arkham Asylum, the X-Men Origins Wolverine game. Do you remember that?
Okay. Yes, I do.
That game was fun as hell, dude. The story was bad. It was glitchy as all hell. The combat wasn't super fluid all the time, but God, it was so much fucking fun just running around clawing people out with a Wolverine. It was such a good time for precisely that reason. They incorporated certain kinds of like finisher moves and stuff that are similar to what the Arkham games would do for Batman, but these are things that were like developed at the same time, so it's not like one was influencing the other. And where Arkham went for more of that free flow style combat that it was developing, the Wolverine game was more like Devil May Cry, where like the idea was you get a bunch of combos, you get a bunch of move sets, and as the game goes on, you just get more and more and more, and you just have to be good at using them at the opportune time. And your enemies are progressively going to get harder to match that. And that's sort of like hack and slash adventure side of Wolverine games. So much fun. I loved it. I know there's a new Wolverine game in development that's supposed to be coming out within the next couple of years. and I'm sure I will buy it, and I'm sure I will play it, and I'm sure I'll have fun with it. But there is something to the idea that, like, if the Spider-Man games are just kind of Spider-Man Arkham Asylum,
Mm-hmm.
and Wolverine got to be made at the same time as Arkham Asylum and do something different, I really will be disappointed if the Wolverine game is just Wolverine Arkham Asylum. Because we already had that, and it was different, and it was arguably better in a lot of ways than a lot of superhero games that came out since.
I mean, I think you might just be getting it again with just the excuse of, well, this one will be better because it won't just be a movie tie-in game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the thing, is no matter how well, like, the engine or the like guts of it worked, you kind of do want it again, even if it's just the same like thing, just to get the more polished version of it that doesn't have to be a fucking movie tie-in. Because
Yeah,
there's
for sure.
never been like a truly good movie tie-in game. There's just like, this was pretty good for a movie tie-in, and I say
mean,
that.
Spider-Man 2 is a good video game. Spider-Man 2 is legitimately a good video game.
Okay, I think that's got to be like the exception that proves the rule.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, like, it's just so hard to think of one. And like, I say that with like full knowledge that one of my most viewed videos is a playthrough of the Green Lantern Rise of the Manhunters movie tie-in game, where fucking Ryan Reynolds voices Hal again for that, of all things. This kind of just blows my mind. So it's like, it's a direct sequel. It's the only thing we'll ever get in that universe.
I don't know, man. If these multiverse shenanigans continue, I would not be surprised if you got Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern back within the next 5 years.
Maybe, but unfortunately, Ryan Reynolds has done more to, like, sabotage us ever getting Green Lantern on film again, to the point where I actually don't think he'd do it. Or I don't think they'd let him do it. Like, full stop, I don't think they'd let him do it. Unless, like, Deadpool got to show up and murder him or something in the Green Lantern costume. Like, it's so annoying. You know, I'm just gonna go off on a little side tangent here. The movie came out over 10 years ago at this point, but still constantly Ryan Reynolds finds the need to bring it up just to shit on it, even though until a couple years ago he hadn't even fucking watched the thing. And I'm just like, if you don't like the movie, if you're not proud of the movie, okay, fine. But you did it, it's in the past, can you please stop shitting on it for the people that did like it or do like the character? Okay, thanks. Because at this point it's just become like detrimental to the thing, and it, of course, internet being what it is, everyone just shits on the movie even though no one's actually watched it. And just every couple of years I see Green Lantern like start trending on Twitter because it's being played on like cable TV or something, and all the tweets I see are, oh man, I always heard terrible things about this movie, but it's actually not that bad.
I mean, I will tell you this. There are very few DC superhero movies that came out after Green Lantern that are better.
Yeah.
There's like 3.
Uh-huh. It hurts, but not that that's like a mark on its quality, but still, it just fucking drives me crazy. But anyway, Green Lantern Rise of the Manhunters. Well, I'll use this transition back. I actually still really do like that game. That is a really fun game that just kind of proves how good the concept of a Green Lantern game could be, and I've like harped on this for a long time. If you ever get the chance to play it, do so. But my recommendation is, it's got a drop in, drop out co-op mode that you can do throughout the entire game. It's not like it kicks your co-op player out at any point. So do it that way, because playing it with a friend is just like, it's broken, but so much more fun, because like the last boss fight is just 2 giant mechs, you know, like giant Green Lantern mech and giant yellow mech. And they don't change that for the co-op mode, so it's just 2 giant Green Lantern mechs ganging up on one fucking Yellow Lantern mech. It's the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. It's just
Drop in, drop
broken.
out co-op is so much fun, man. I love that shit.
They should do
Which
that
actually
more,
brings me.
especially with like the Spider-Man game. I can't believe that like
Oh yeah,
Miles and Spidey are such a big part of that, but there's no co-op mode for that game.
yeah, because you in Spider-Man 2, you can swap between them, and then there are certain story moments you have to play as each one separately, or like that the game will kind of force you to transition from one to the other. But there isn't like any kind of drop in, drop out co-op for that game, which I kind of wish there was, because that'd be just as fun.
Mm-hmm.
There are moments in that game where basically you can go through the city and like stop random like violent crimes and stuff. And while you're controlling one, the other one is still out there, so you can on occasion run into the other Spider-Man stopping the same crime.
See, that's so fucking cool. Like, all right, this isn't a comic book or a superhero game, but did you ever play the PS2 era The Warriors game?
I think so, yeah, actually. It's been
Yeah.
a long time since I've thought about that.
That game still cracks me up because I remember playing it to death with my friend Andrew because it was like a GTA clone, but with co-op mode. And we were so into it, and then we found out there was a movie that it was actually based off of, and we're like, oh, fuck yeah, let's go, let's watch the movie. And then we watched the movie, it's just like the most fucking boring movie of all time, and we're just like, man, what the fuck, they're just running away the whole movie. They're just being some fucking bitches. The Game Warriors wouldn't do this. But, like, the thing about the Warriors game is it had the best co-op mode I think I've like to this day ever played, and I've never seen anything like quite replicate it, where it had split screen co-op, but when you guys were together, like when you were in close enough proximity to one another, you got merged to one screen again, and then when you got out of proximity and went split screen, and then you did not have any kind of limitation for how far apart you could go from each other. Like, you could go within the level or the map you were at, you could go to completely opposite sides of the map from each other and just do anything the whole time. And we just thought that was the coolest shit ever. And like, I'm just trying to imagine like that in like a Spider-Man 2 setting where you've got Peter and Miles. You guys could both just be in New York in like completely different, like Peter in Queens, Miles in the Bronx kind of shit. That goes so fucking hard.
Well, and like there's like precedent for doing stuff like that. I mean, granted, very different like graphics capability here, but the Pokemon games of late, like Scarlet and Violet, you can go online and do multiplayer. But like what that really translates to is me and my friend would sit in the same room, each on our own Switch, and we'd join a multiplayer lobby. So we're both in the same world together, but we can just go around and do our own thing. And then occasionally when there's like stuff where we could like both do like a team battle or something, we could both go to the same location and do it together on separate screens. But aside from that is basically a single player experience, except for when you want to join the other person. And doing that more in something like a Spider-Man game would be really fun. But again, I mean, I'm sure there'd be graphics limitations doing it that way, just because the Spider-Man game is so much more high-end than like a Pokemon game.
I mean,
But no, I
at
mean,
this point, with how like fucking advanced the consoles are and shit, I just don't accept that as an excuse anymore.
that is fair. I mean,
You
that
know,
is fair.
like you're paying thousands of dollars. Like I remember when the fucking like PS1, PS2 dropped, it was like, you know, $100 to $200 somewhere in that range. With these ones, you're paying almost $1,000 for a fucking console at this point, and it's not as powerful as a PC you could pay objectively the same amount of money for. So it should
Spider-Man
fucking
2,
be able to do something here.
Spider-Man 2, the game had a reported budget of $300 million. It's
Yeah.
more expensive than most movies.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, they're, you know, think about like the single issue price. You know, you go to a fucking movie, it costs $10. You go play a game, it costs $60 to $80 at this point, right? Like,
$70 is like the new minimum, I think, for most games.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, 60 was kind of back in the day a little bit now. The cost has had to have gone up.
Look, listen, dude. When we were playing on PS2, it was like $4 for a brand new game. It was like $40, and then it got to 50, and then for a majority of my teenage to early 20s life, it was 60. And ever since the PS5 and the Xbox came out, it's like 70 to 80 now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
and then like, and even then, it's 70 to 80, and you could buy like the digital version at 70 to 80, and then you don't even own it.
Well, and the Deadpool game is a good example of this because you could pay $70 to get the digital version of a game, but if at any point there are rights disputes or copyrights that expire or such, they can just take the game away from you. The Deadpool game had this happen where Activision was no longer licensed to make Marvel games, and so the game just got pulled for like 5 or 6 years.
Mm, that's
Uh,
horrendous.
yeah,
That
and
is
I mean like.
insane to me.
I mean, you look at like the old PS2 era of X-Men games, and they work the exact same way. Where like you can't get them anymore. The Avengers game that Square Enix did that just came out maybe a little bit more than a couple years ago. The support for that is already all gone, and so like you can't really get it anywhere. No one plays it. There's no like ongoing updates or anything for it anymore, which is ridiculous for a game that's like of a not necessarily current gen, but a very recent gen. And video games in general are just the least well-preserved medium on the planet, I think.
Oh yeah, there's like a bunch of stories going around of like these organizations trying to preserve old games because like a lot of like NES era games are at risk of going extinct.
Yeah,
Because there's just been no preservation, and like the companies see no profit in reproducing them in like new collections and stuff. And even then, when they like do reproduce them, they just do like a really shit job of it. Because like I got real excited a couple years ago that they released like the PS3 collection games for all my favorite PS2 franchises, Jack, Ratchet, and Sly, right? And they're all like buggy to a different degree, but the absolute worst one was the Sly Cooper collection. Do you remember the in the first game the boss fight with the crocodile lady where you got to like it's basically Guitar Hero before Guitar Hero where you got to do a little rhythm game to beat her? Yeah, the button timing is out of sync with the music
man.
Yeah. Can you
How
fucking
the fuck
imagine?
you messed that up?
Yeah, so like and that's the thing that happens when they do a lot of collections of old games is they just are basically copying and pasting. There's no like quality control whatsoever. So the end product just ends up being, a shadow of the original.
Well, and that's a really good segue too into the recent Suicide Squad that just came out, Kill the Justice League.
I forgot that existed.
Yeah, I think everyone did. No one bought it. But that's a game that from the very beginning was under a lot of heat because of the fact that it was going to be just a live service action adventure game. It was basically Suicide Squad meets Fortnite. And when you start making games from the DLC live service perspective, you're basically dooming it to not be archivable later because so much of the experience just fundamentally doesn't work if you don't constantly maintain the servers for them. So like at a certain point, right, like something like Fortnite will become unplayable because whoever is hosting that game will at some point turn that off. Whether it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, whenever, someone is going to turn that off, and then all the money you dumped into Fortnite is just gone. And doing that with big video game releases like Suicide Squad, which you took all of the employees at Rocksteady, had them make this game. You laid off a bunch of people in order to kind of get the shitty version of the game out. And then you're going to doom it to live service where there's already DLC for it that people are going to probably have to buy at some point. And then you have to download all the regular updates, always have it connected to the internet, where things are always going to be changing and there'll be season releases and stuff like that. You're essentially saying from the very beginning that this is a game that is not a finished product. It is a promise to buy more products. And why on the planet would anyone buy that when the game doesn't even look fun? Like live service games are a scam and I hate them, but there is something to be said about like if you got in on Fortnite at the right time, it's kind of hard to stop. Or if you played something like Overwatch at the right time, there is enough of like a removal from that stuff where you can like you can say like, okay, I can keep playing the multiplayer and just kind of like skirt by the live service stuff. I do this today with Call of Duty, right? Like I'll come home and I'll play Call of Duty, and I'll see like season 2, 36 days left, and like all of these things you can use your tokens for to buy if you just buy the season pass. And I never do it, but I can still like play part of the game. With something like Suicide Squad, you don't have enough of a draw of that element to fall back on. And so instead, you're just kind of left with essentially a half-baked product, which was already delayed several times. And it makes you wonder, if you poured all this money into this game, how on earth are you expecting to get that back when your strategy for recouping the cost is to ask the people who paid $70 for this game to continually pay more money towards it, knowing full well that they're not going to get to keep everything on there permanently?
Do you think it's maybe a business strategy of just, listen, we don't have to make a good one of these. We just have to make enough of them until one hits, and then we're going to make all our money back?
I think that's definitely part of the thinking. I think, though, the difference between like video games and movies is on movie sides, that is distinctly possible. A movie can come out on a shoestring budget that over the course of like 3 to 6 months makes like $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I have ever seen a video game scale like that.
Well, like,
I think it'd probably be impossible.
You mentioned Fortnite, and like, I'm going to sound like an old man here, because apparently I am, because 2009 was 15 years ago, but like, Fortnite's a piece of shit, man. Like, it's just dumb fucking garbage thrown together in the most shoddy fucking way. And I'm still not entirely convinced that young people don't just play it like as a giant inside joke with each other. That like none of them actually enjoy it. But like I think that's kind of what I'm getting at, is companies are just kind of hoping that they can like sink enough money into enough of this model of a game that they can have a hit like that. Because you started to see this, particularly around like Pandemic, you started to see these like really, not even like talking about the quality of the gameplay itself, but just the quality of production, like these really rushed things come out. Your Among Us, your Fall Guys, where like they're fun games, they're cool in concept, but like you just look at the work behind them and they're like so basic, fucking like Bean Dude, so the animations don't have to be complicated, and the rendering's easy, just basic shapes and stuff. And it's like, no comment on whether or not the gameplay is any good. It's just the pipeline for it is so damn quick and easy that you can pump out a million things like this, and you only need one of them to hit. Not saying that Kill the Justice League is on that tier, but possibly the hope being that maybe if we do put out like a high tier one, then we'll get like the initial revenue from the individual game sales, and then if it continues to be a success, we can just like rake in money hand over fist by keep like doing all this DLC shit.
I mean, no, that's certainly the hope, right? But like, there's also like a difference between the level of cost that goes into making something like Among Us versus Kill the Justice League, where like you might hope that the brand recognition of something like Suicide Squad and the Justice League would guarantee you a certain like base level of profit, and it will. But I think that base level is something that they grossly overestimated, especially considering like how little goodwill there is out there for like Justice League stuff and Suicide Squad stuff at this point, right? Like you could do this with Batman easy because he's Batman, and you could do this with Spider-Man easy because he's Spider-Man. But Suicide Squad is the wrong thing to hitch your wagon to if that's the strategy you're going for. As a person who likes the Suicide Squad comics, when those goddamn movies were coming out, we didn't have any trade paperbacks for the original Ostrander run. When the James Gunn The Suicide Squad movie came out, all of the trade paperbacks that came out before it were out of print, and they never reprinted them except for the first one. So I promise you, DC has never in its entirety ever supported anything called Suicide Squad. So to spend millions of dollars making a game about the Suicide Squad because you think it's going to generate a profit, have you learned nothing? Did you watch the Suicide Squad movie David Ayer made? It's just throwing money away at this point. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, at least make it a Justice League game if you're going to pull this shit. Make it like the Square Enix Avengers game.
Well, like, it's really funny because the point everyone has made about the Suicide Squad game is it clearly was not meant to be a Suicide Squad game. You're just running around in, like, the fucking, like, unfinished, like, what do I want? You're running around in the fucking aborted fetus of their Superman game they were planning to make, that they wanted to make.
It's so depressing.
True.
I will say though, I feel like people were harping on that game for the wrong reasons too, because people are like really upset with the fact that it's tied to the Arkham continuity, and people really don't like the way that Batman dies in that game, and they said it was disrespectful to Kevin Conroy or something. And I think anyone who thinks that or has those beliefs or is sincerely offended by Harley Quinn shooting Batman in the face, go touch grass. just go outside, leave your computer, put on some real pants, not the ones that you've jerked off into 80,000 times. Like, go touch grass. Go outside. Go have real thoughts and feelings.
Damn. Steve telling it like it is.
But anyway, but yeah, so Suicide Kill the Justice League is a good example of that of that sort of ladder. Like, I don't understand how you preserve or archive certain kinds of video games, particularly this kind, where your entire like gameplay depends on an infrastructure that is inherently temporary. But to spin this back to maybe a more positive direction. I'm maybe more positive on this than other people are. The video games that are so big that they influence the comics and the public perception of characters, you know, on the level of the Arkham games is Injustice. Remember when that came out?
Why you gotta do this, Steve?
You remember? That was 2013. That was 11 years ago.
Steve, what the fuck is wrong with you? Do you want me to beat you up? Is this some kind of, like, sick, weird sex thing? Because just tell me, and I'll do it. You don't have to, like, invoke this in me. You want to be my fucking, like, little pig boy? Is that it?
Oh my god. So, alright, so I have a very specific memory about Injustice, okay? So, Injustice comes out in 2013. It is announced a little bit before then, and 2013 is when I graduate high school and go into college. So my end of junior year into senior year of high school, I heard about this game called Injustice. And I'm telling all my friends in high school, like, look, guys, it's a Justice League fighting game. We should all get together and play this. This is going to be so much fun. And everyone's just like, yeah, no, this is stupid. Why would you want us to do this? This is stupid. This is so dumb. And then Injustice comes out, and all of my high school friends are just over one person's house, and we're just playing Injustice. And like, you know what? We were wrong. This is actually really fucking fun. So I understand the things about Injustice people are going to complain about, and that maybe you'll articulate here in a second. But for just the experience of having a fighting game to play with your friends and taking it as nothing more than that, I love Injustice. I had so many fond memories of just playing with my high school friends, who I never saw again after this game when we all moved away to college. I have never seen these human beings again, except for the days where we played Injustice together before we all graduated.
I mean, that's really sweet. Don't get me wrong. And but here's my point that I'm going to make to you, and I want you to tell me where I'm wrong.
Okay.
Is that a memory of Injustice, or is that a memory of a time in your life that could have been filled by literally any other game that had been popular at the time?
This is a fair point.
Yeah, like, that's you don't have nostalgia for Injustice. You have nostalgia for a period of transition in your life. Which, don't get me wrong, I have nostalgia for like a very similar period too. But that's like, but yeah, for me it was a different game. For me it was a different time. That's not like anything to say of the quality of Injustice. It's funny, like fuck Alfie for not being here. Everyone tell Alfie he's a bitch. For not being here, because like this is the thing that he and I should be talking about, because we've had this conversation before, and I fundamentally like I remember coming to this like conclusion with him while we were talking about Injustice one night, which is that it's not Zack Snyder and everything that's gone wrong with the DCEU that's to blame for like this huge decline we're seeing in DC right now. It's Injustice, because the takes and the tone and the perception of the characters that game has created has completely infected the like generations of how people view DC and think about those characters, Superman in particular. And it is like just fundamentally corrupted like the future for what people will think of and come to expect from DC. And I like, it sounds extreme, but you think about the fact that like that is the most successful and longest running thing that that DC has done with like comics tie-ins, making a fucking animated movie out of it recently, and continuing the games. There's like those the two Injustice games are the most successful things they've done outside of the Arkham games in like the company's history in the last 10 years.
So I see where you're coming from, and I've heard people make this argument before. I think the problem with it is it's giving a little bit too much credit to Injustice specifically and not taking into account the people making the decisions that simultaneously greenlit a lot of things in the same vein. Injustice comes out in 2013. Stuff like Man of Steel is already in development by that point. Zack Snyder's already got his vision of the Dark Superman on paper ready, because that's the take he always wanted to do. And when it comes to like the legacy of Injustice corrupting the youth, the thing that I think is more to blame than Injustice itself is the fact that the Injustice comic was written by Tom Taylor, and that was his big claim to fame. Tom Taylor is the worst thing to happen to superhero comics in ages. I hate Tom Taylor. I hate everything that this dude has done in this last 11-year span, where his idea of writing characters is to essentially appeal to online fan fictions of what he thinks they should be, about like espousing political statements that have no weight or question behind them or any intent. This is a dude who writes about school shootings in America while living in Australia, not having any idea what exactly people are arguing about, just that people are arguing. I think that's more of a problem than Superman goes evil and Wonder Woman violent. I think with Injustice in particular as a video game, it was a success in a very marginal sense, but it didn't sell like crazy. It was a hit when it came out, but it's not doing the numbers. Game of the year. Yeah, but I'm saying like sell like per unit sold wise, it doesn't compare to something like the Arkham games or the Spider-Man games that have come out since. It was a successful game. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think the degree of success that you're ascribing to it is really all its fault. I think that has a lot more to do with just the fact that this is the direction DC was going in a lot of things at the same time. Injustice is just one of them.
I think Injustice does have the distinction of being the most successful of all of those things. Like, Man of Steel, you mentioned, was in development and stuff, but Man of Steel was divisive upon release. Um, upon release, no one was really like, Injustice is terrible. Like, the only complaint I remember about Injustice being like kind of across the board was that the costumes are bad. Um, like for all the outfits. That's the only like consensus I remember in Injustice. That's the only consensus I remember Injustice having from a negative perspective. Everyone was fucking playing and talking about how cool it was to have a DC fighting game, and the success that that's had. I remember some complained about the story, but like the kind of argument went, yeah, but at the same time, it's just a fighting game, so it's okay. Was kind of the vibe that I think I heard, or that I recall hearing a lot. And this is all very unscientific and might just be me being stubborn about my point. But you know what? Fuck it. It's my show. I can do that. So you're probably right that it's more to do with factors outside of it, but at the same time, Injustice just becoming one of the most successful things out of that era, like undeniably, without controversy. It didn't have the Superman breaking someone's neck and it being seen as something like you can make arguments about. And I say that as the person that made those arguments, right? But like the shift that created, and the way that like DC has just doubled down and like embraced it so heavily has just created such a bad time. I think it has truly corrupted the innocent.
And I think part of it too is just like, I don't care if the takes in Injustice are bad takes on the characters, because I don't care about that as in general. My problem is more so just the things that ape it are just generally bad. So I don't care about if Joker kills Lois Lane, then Superman rips his heart out being a bad Superman idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a meaningless statement to me. It's just written badly. That's my only problem. And I think the trouble you run into with a lot of the stuff that apes Injustice is that it does kind of fall into this camp of, they think the edgy aesthetic of it is enough to suffice doing something in that world, and it almost never is. It's never interesting in and of itself, which again kind of goes back to the Tom Taylor of it all, of just like the guy who wrote these moments and tried to give them more character behind it really just kind of fell behind the aesthetic of it and everything else he was doing. And that's kind of the ultimate problem, which is, you can have these choices if you like, but you have to make the audience care about them, and they never do. The brilliance of Injustice as a video game is it's just DC Mortal Kombat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we already had DC Universe versus Mortal Kombat. This is just DC Universe versus Mortal Kombat without the Mortal Kombat characters. The story is bare bones. It takes you like 2 hours to play the whole thing. It's just an excuse to get characters into arenas and fight. All the awards it won were specifically because of its fighting game mechanics. It was a fun game to play on a fighting game level, but no one was heaping any sort of like praise on it in terms of like its story, because there was nothing there. It's barely a story. It's just an excuse to throw characters up the wall against each other. It's really with the comic that Taylor writes and subsequent things that use the Injustice comic as a springboard for their takes that you start running into problems, because you run into really, really dumb things like what you have in Batman right now, where Batman hops across the multiverse and frees all of the ultimate versions of himself and stuff, or you get like the Zack Snyder vision of Superman of becoming like a tyrant and everything. These are not bad ideas inherently, they're just all badly executed.
You've been towing that line for a little while now. And, like, I guess on some level, I respect it, that you're really trying to commit to this idea that there are no bad ideas, there's just bad execution. And on some level, I agree with you. But on another level, I think that the level of execution is, in order to make an idea good, is so unattainable that we might as well just call it a bad idea.
You can do that. I would be hesitant to ever qualify an idea as that without getting a lot of proof for it. Like, you have faulty premises in things, but the faulty premise really just sort of depends on how you execute it and whether or not the premise you're going for matches what you ended up doing.
Okay, Steve, I need
I
you to pitch me the story that's like, to pitch me the good way to do the story where I make Superman just a unrepentant rapist.
Okay, it's very easy. You write a story where Superman is evil and a rapist, and you make it good. That's all you do.
Yeah, but I don't think you can do that.
Well, you know what? That story does not exist. But if you don't think you can do that, then write it and make it not good, right? Like, at the end of the day, it's all about the execution. You can't like make judgments about hypotheticals of whether or not the premise is good or not without actually reading it happen. And you can like make it as shocking as you want to, right? But at the end of the day, you just need to like actually read it and see if it's worth it or not. If someone comes to you and pitches Joker kills Lois Lane, so Superman kills him, that's not bad on its face. That requires you to explain something or write a narrative that either justifies it or is engaging in and of itself. And there are plenty of things out there that don't fit in a consistent characterization of Superman that are still good and interesting and worth watching or reading to varying degrees, right? Like, they don't all have to they don't all have to be like, this is a good Superman idea, this is a bad Superman idea. They just have to be done well.
Maybe. I don't know. Sometimes I think that, like, certain premises, certain ideas, it's not that they can't be done. Yeah, sure, you can make anything work, you just have to write it well. But I think, like, the level... There's almost like a graph here. And we're getting, like, really off topic, so I'll just try to make this point and we can agree to disagree on it. But I feel like there's a graph here where, like, the level of execution required is so far above the level that the idea deserves. If that makes sense. So.
No, I mean, I see what you're saying, but yeah, we can agree to disagree with that one.
Anyway, video games and superheroes. We've been going for quite a while here. Do you have another like major section you wanted to cover, or do you mind if we just kind of get to a wrap-up point that I kind of wanted to go to?
We can get to a wrap-up point.
Okay. So I'm going to say my answer first, because I've talked about it on the show before, but like, what is a superhero game that you want to see produced? Who's a character you want to see? What's like a premise and some like inspiration games that you have in mind for what you think it would be? And mine is a Green Lantern game that kind of blends elements from the existing one, as well as Ratchet and Clank into a singular game. That has been my thing for a long time. Going back to kind of what we were talking about with the power fantasy thing, you got Hulk where you just get to destroy cities. My thing with Green Lantern is like, yeah, that, but like taking on armies on your own would just be so fucking cool. Like, there's this invading fleet, you gotta go deal with it. It's just you versus like an entire fucking legion of spaceships and shit. It would just be so fucking hype. And you get to like, I've talked about this before, like, you could have, this rotating list of like quick access constructs that you could make. I kind of talked about the idea that it'd be so cool if like you could design constructs that like you can put different levels of points, like damage, complexity, amount of willpower that it costs to use. Like obviously making like a fist is going to be a whole lot easier than making a complicated machine. So like you could balance it out that way, but I always wanted the idea of like you could create those constructs and then you could upload them to an online network. So you could download other people's constructs with like the different stat variations and actually like do similar to like car building in certain games where you can actually like build and create the physical objects that your character will be making. I always thought would be such a fucking cool premise. So yeah, that's my elevator pitch for a Green Lantern game.
I mean, that's good. I like that. I mean, we've talked about this before. I feel like if they just made it in that mold to be printing money.
Mm-hmm.
um, so people are gonna assume, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, Steve wants a really good Iron Man game, or he wants a really good Daredevil game." The answer is neither. I don't want either of those. I want a really good Flash game.
We've come so close so many times.
I know. I downloaded the a few years ago. There was a leak of like a test idea for a Flash game, and you could like download like an alpha version of it. And I downloaded that years ago, and I was just messing around with it, and it was so much fucking fun, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of doing anything with the Flash that kind of like takes into account what super speed must feel like and how you'd have to change the mechanics to match it. You already have like a history of video games where you can do stuff like this. Like, I mean, obviously Sonic the Hedgehog could be a kind of mold of just running through courses at super speed, collecting objects and stuff. And there's arguments to be made whether or not you want it to be like a side scroller or 3D or whatever. But the newest Sonic game that came out, I feel like, is a really good sort of balance of what you'd want to do with a modern Flash game, where you have a big open world that you can run around at super speed in, but running around at super speed takes a certain amount of distance before you can hit like optimal levels. You'd have to upgrade the amount of how fast you can go at a certain point. You still have several areas you'd have to cover and challenge maps and stuff. You'd have different locations and boss fights and stuff that you could go into that don't just require super speed, but also require being able to like maneuver and do combat and things like that. Being able to zip through a city landscape in that vein on its own would be really interesting. And I think you'd be able to successfully differentiate it from something like an Arkham game or a Sonic game, because you could have the Flash's entire moveset rest on the fact that he moves really fast and not have combat be a separate part of the speed part of it. So like if you want to incorporate like a stamina gauge here, and you could do things like the Flash could like run in a circle around a particular good and punch them several times, or you could do the whole Grant Morrison infinite mass punch or something like that. But all of these require you to be going at a certain speed in order for them to work, and take out from your stamina gauge when you do it. And so you have reasons to speed up and slow down, where like you can slow down temporarily to have enough stamina to do a bigger attack, or you could move really fast and do a bunch of smaller attacks based on how many bad guys you're trying to knock out and stuff. I feel like it would be a lot of fun. We already have a lot of blueprints for these kinds of elements in other video games. We've just never done a video game where that's the whole experience. And if you contained it into like a small enough story like Arkham Asylum level of a game you can beat in a night, I think you could have something really special with that. And it would just be different, you know? Like, it wouldn't just be another free-flow combat superhero game. It wouldn't be another live service bullshit thing. It would just be a different kind of video game. And I'm really, really here for that.
Okay, as you were talking about that, I just got the fucking sickest idea for what the opening tutorial of a Flash game should be like.
Okay.
With like that concept of being controlling speed and stuff, right? So
Okay.
like you get your opening cutscene, you're like, okay, Flash, run across town and stop Captain Cold, blah blah blah. And so it's just like press X to run, press like hold X to speed up or whatever, right? And so like you just do that and you're holding X and the game just like lets you go like just instantly start reaching top possible speed, and then all of a sudden you just are pulled out of it, and you're just like in the middle of fucking like prehistoric times, and Flash just goes, ah shit, I went too fast again. Alright, hold on. Need to give myself a quick refresher. How do I control myself better? And you just fucking like running around and like running up fucking dinosaurs and shit, trying to just tutorial mode this. So you're like getting out of the tutorial requires you to leave dinosaur times to get back to the city.
Oh my god, that'd be so much fucking fun.
Isn't that just such a fucking cool idea? I just just as you were talking about that, I'm like, oh, that'd be so sick.
Have I ever told you, and we could wrap up after this if you want, have I ever told you my pitch for like a Flash story I've always wanted to write?
No.
So I'm not the kind of person who wants to go out and write comics. I often joke with people, I feel like I'm the only comics critic who doesn't want to make his own comics. But I've always been sitting on this Flash idea where I would love to do a Flash Year One, except the whole issue takes place in the same second, where the Flash has gotten his super speed, and he's moving so fast that everything around him is just frozen. And he's just stuck in a frozen timescape for what feels like days as he tries to figure out how to slow down.
That's fascinating. I like that a lot.
I would love to write that. It could be a single issue, it could be a graphic novel, whatever. I would love to write a story where it's just like Barry or Wally or whoever is moving too fast and he doesn't know what to do.
Damn, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
I like that. I like that a lot. All right.
You can do that in a video game too. Like maybe the save menu is he's going so fast everything around him is slowed down. That'd be so cool.
I love it. I really do. Oh man. All right. Well, I think that's gonna do it for this episode.
What do you got next week?
I guess I'll fucking pick again. I'm still kind of in my like fucking sword and sorcery shit right now. I'm getting back into it kind of low key. So I'm trying to think of something in that vein. Oh, fuck, do I want to do it? Do I want to do it? Yeah, fuck it, I want to do it. Let's review A Knight's Tale.
Oh, dude, I fucking love that movie.
Yeah, that's like a fucking classic and shit. And yeah, let's review A Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger.
Oh god, let's do it. Let's
All
fucking go.
Okay, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher,
and I'm just Steve,
and we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.